Hey guys, I'm Jonathan. Welcome to this new video. We will learn how to do this. Just before starting the video, I wanted to tell you that you can download the source file. The link is in the description. If you discover this channel, I currently publish 2 to 3 videos per week related to filmmaking, advertising video, and 3D, with Cinema4D, Blender and Houdini. So, if you are interested with these subjects, don't hesitate to subscribe. I thank in advance all the people who like, comment, and share my videos. You know it helped me a lot. If you want to have help, you can join the Discord server and the Facebook group. The links are in description. We don't waste any more time. If you are ready, let's go. So here, I opened a new window on Cinema4D, so the first thing to do is to add a primitive. So there I'm going to go to my objects level and I'm going to add a cube. So at the level of my object parameters, right here, I'm going to add a 2 cm size at the y-axis level, and I'm going to increase the subdivisions on x32 and the subdivisions on z2. And I will be able to put myself directly on display in quick shading lines to have access to these subdivisions right here. So once we've done that, I'm going to put this cube in editable mode. So there, I'm going to go to my cube in my objects and I press the C key, or else you can right click and make editable right here. I press C and I'm going to put here in point mode. I will come in selection mode at this level. I will select all my points from the left part and I deleted it. I'm going to select all the points right here. I'm going to bring them closer to the straight points so I can decrease the width of this cube. So here I'm going to do a translation on the blue z-axis. And I press the shift key to be able to do a translation, and I'm going to put here on 90 centimeters. Then I'm going to put in top view. I press the wheel of my mouse. I have here in top view come to select points, so I'm going to come and select the points at this level. So I selected 1 out of 2, so I select this one. I press shift, I select this one. That I'm going to do like that all along my geometry by selecting every other point. So once it's finished, I'm still translating on the blue axis, so the z-axis, so I'm going to do my translation. I press shift and there I'm going to put 10 centimeters here will be more than enough. Then we can come and add the surface subdivision, so who is right there that I just selected. I press Alt and I let go as it comes directly to the cube. On the other hand, we can see that we no longer have the edges of the geometry which are pointed but which are too rounded. So we can't do that. Precisely to avoid that, I mean temporarily remove the subdivision with the little cross at that level. I put myself in mode here. I select in cubes and come and select edges, so here on the edge, you select the 3 that are there. So to be able to add more selections, you press shift to add the selection and double click to be able to select the whole loop here. And I'm going to do the same all the way to the end of my geometry. At this level. So when you get to the end, it's like just now selecting the 3 right here. And once we've done that, we'll be able to add the bevel to be able to add geometry and be able to keep fairly rough edges at the subdivision level. So it's right there in your left tools. So there I left click. Dragging with my mouse is at the level of here. I will put 0, 2. It will be more than enough. And so there, if we come to the subdivisions, we can see that we have edges that are much more pointed. So that's exactly what we're looking for. So here I am going to disable it temporarily. For now, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to put myself in point mode and I'm going to tell you to delete all the left part here so that we can work with the symmetry to simplify our work a little bit. So here, before doing that, I'm going to add a loop cut here in the middle of my scene. So I'm going to put here, we're perfectly in the middle. So you can select the tool by pressing ML, or it's here at your toolbar, and we're going to add a loop here in the middle, and I press on the 3 lines here to be perfectly in the center of my scene. So once we've done that, we'll be able to delete the entire left part. So I'm going to put in top view right here. I'm going to select my selection tool, which is here at the top, and come and select all my points from the left part. And I will have them deleted so that I can delete them. So then I go back to 3D view. I will be able to add this time my symmetry, which is right there. So I put the symmetrical in the subdivisions and the cube in the symmetry. So there, if ever it doesn't work for you, you may have to come and change the axis of the mirror. So you have to go here in symmetry and objects. And if you took your scene in a different direction than me, maybe you have a mistake. It is necessary here to check the axis of symmetry if ever it does not work well. So once we have done that, we will be able to add material. So I'm going to select my cube here. I'm going to come in edges mode is at this level and come select the whole loop, which is right here, and I'm going to do a check and a translation on the z-axis, the blue axis. Like this, I'm going to be able to add a loop cut directly, so I press ML. And I want to add a cut right here, and I'm going to be able to take that by double clicking and bring it closer to the edge like this. So then, once we've done that, the idea, it's going to become joining here the points that are duplicated at that level. So for that, I'm going to put in top view. I'm going to use the selection tool, like earlier. And I'm going to select all my points, except the last two, which are right there. So here I go back to 3D view. I'm going to press T to be able to change the scale of my geometry. And I'm going to move them on the y-axis. Here it is like this. Then I'm going to right click, and here at the level of optimize, I'm going to be able to increase the value a little bit. So I'm going to put 1.001 and I'm going to do OK. And so there we can see that our points are suddenly merged here, and the same below. So once it's OK, we'll be able to come inside view here and we'll be able to put the scale back correctly. So I will be able to select all my points and press T to be able to straighten the scale. Well, I'll leave it like that. For now, we'll see later if we need to change. So then come and select all the points that are right here. I'm going to go back to 3D view, and there I'm going to right click and again to be able to merge the points that are right here. So then put you back inside view, and I'll be able to adjust the size because there, it may be a little too thick. So there I will select the points here. I press T, I just reduce them roughly like this. I just select the points that are selected links, the points that are right here. I press T and I'm going to do the same at this level. So now I'm going to get back into top view here, and I'm going to be able to reset all the points to 0. So for that, I will select it here. I selected my points. Here, you click here on the small coordinates. Here on the size in X instead of 0.2 or 0.4. Sometimes you have to reset to 0. So here I come to select my points. I put to 0. I do the same here. I put to 0, and I will do the same all along the geometry. So, if we go back to 3D view and look here at the level of symmetry, we can see that we have a small error because in fact, the points are not perfectly in the center of the scene. So there, what you have to do is go back to top view. Select all the points that are here and at the level this time of the displacement in X. So not the scale. They must also be reset to be able to put the points back perfectly in the center. So there, when we did that, we can see that the symmetry works perfectly well. And then be able to come and add subdivisions. I press ML. I put my subdivision in the middle, and there I click several times to get squares. Looks pretty good to me. I added a few like this. So there I'm going to be able to go back to side view right here. I'm going to be able to go back to point mode and selection mode, and there I'm going to be selected. And there I will select this one and that one. I'm going to put them down to be able to create a hole like this, and conversely I'm going to select this one and that one to create a base, so I'll put up. That's pretty much like this, so that's what it looks like for now. So if I apply my surface subdivision, we can see that we have something like this. So there I also see deactivating the grid. If you ever want, you go to filter and to be able to deactivate. It can bother us in some cases. So then, once we have that, we will be able to continue. So there, before continuing, we are going to apply the symmetry here. So I have selected my object well, and I'm going to make the right is connected, and so there this one. I'm going to be able to deactivate it temporarily. We keep it as a backup if ever we need it. So there, I'm going to double click with Alt to be able to temporarily delete it. I will put here and there. So we have our object that has merged with symmetry. So there I will be able to return to double click edge mode to select this loop, and there I will control and a left click to be able to add a subdivision like this. So here once we've done that, we'll be able to extrude. So there I'm going to do control and at the left to be able to exploit like this is there. I press T to be able to increase the scale, so I'm going to increase on Y. We can increase a little bit or decrease rather on the X axis. I press them, left click control. I press T. I will increase the scale a little bit. And so like that we are going to create several divisions to be able to create a curve like this and do the base from our bar. And I'm going to do a last few checks. That's how we already have a good base. We can come and work on that afterwards, so I can put myself in point mode here. I can say select my cubes and there will be able to select loops, so I'm going to do UL to select a magnifying glass, so I'm going to take these and then I'm going to MG to get my iron tool. And there I can do new transform to be able to add a little rounding like this several times on it. Then on an old selected one, this loop I press to take. I click several times on transform here, the same for this loop. Like that we will create a rounding at this level. And so then you can also come and adjust with the left click with a. The idea is to have as many squares as possible. So we're going to make some adjustments to them here, and with the left click we adjust the intensity here. So it's the slider here that moves at the force level. And finally I'm going to do the last right here. MG. Well, that doesn't seem bad to me at all in terms of the. We can adjust the diameter here a little bit if we need to. So there we can put back an edge. We can come and select some and you press T to be able to simply change to the scale. So I'm going to put inside view like this, I'll see what happens. I will try to create a rounding right here. And I'm going to put in top view to see what happens there too. Yeah, so that looks pretty good to me. I will leave it like this, and then we'll see after what happens. So once we've done that, we're going to select our cube right here. We will be able to select the last magnifying glass at this level. We are going to do a left click control to be able to add a large thickness like this. We will be able to put ourselves in top view here. I will go back to object mode and I will be selected here. The axis, and so there I'm going to take my magnet. I'm going to move my axis here to the level of my magnets. So I'm going to put myself back in 3D view. Our bar is going to come back perfectly in the middle of our stage. So I can deactivate my magnet. I can also deactivate the surface subdivision. I will add a new asymmetry, so the symmetrical I will put myself in the subdivisions. And the cube, put it in symmetry. And there, as I was saying earlier, we are going to change the axis of the mirror. So we're going to go into the symmetry here in the object, and we're going to put on XZ here to be able to create our bar like this. Then we will be able to put ourselves in top view. I'm going to press ML to be able to add loop cuts. So there, it's in order to always have squares. So I'm going to put one in the middle here. So I'm here to see it in the middle, and I'm adding several subdivisions here. So there you go. I think it's not bad like that. We have squares of more or less the same size throughout our geometry, so okay. Once we've done that, we already have our base. We can apply the subdivision at this level. We can visualize like this. We can go to display, then quick shading, and we have our bar, which is already well advanced. Don't hesitate to change here the size of the loop cuts, as I told you to change the shape of the bar a little bit. So there, it only remains to do the UV unfolding, the creation of texture on Photoshop. So for the UVs, we will already deactivate the surface subdivision here temporarily, and we will go back to quick shading lines, and we will go directly here in the table. UV edit to be able to do the UV unwrapping, so let's assume this is the top of our bar. There will be the logo and all that at that level. So we'll be able to make a cut at the back in the middle. So here I'm going to take the middle point with the 3 loop cuts here. So that's the one there. I'm going to put myself in edges mode. I select in cubes and I just select the one in the middle, and so there. I'm going to put the opposite, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing to be able to link. To be able to suddenly link the loop of the middle and create a cut in the middle of our bar. So here, I'm doing Shift and Control to be able to create a loop in the middle, and I'm going to do the same on the side. So here I am going to create. So there, I'm going to select the edge at this level. I'm going to the opposite here. I'm going to do Shift and Control to select all this side there. I'm going to do the same on the opposite. I'm going to zoom in on the edges. I selected that one. I'm going to the opposite here. I'm going to do Shift and Control. And suddenly we will have our cuts at the level of the orange lines. So there, once that's done, I'm going to go into our UV panel here and I'm going to do UV unwrap, and so there we can see that we've unwrapped to UV. So there I can do Control and F for all selected. I'm going to UV packing here. I'm going to the box and I'm going to do apply, and I'm waiting for it to end, and we suddenly have our UVs at this level. So then we're going to use this texture here to be able to do our texture next in Photoshop. So there you have to go to here textures. I take a texture in 4 Kelvin, so 4096 pixels by 4096 pixel. I do OK. Then I will go here in layer, then create UV mesh layer. Then I will go in file, then save texture as, then I will put it in PNG. The format is not very important. I'm going to put it on my desk and I'm going to call it tutorial, and I'm going to do OK, and suddenly we're going to use this image to go to Photoshop. So here we are directly on Photoshop. So here I am going to have new ones created. I will put on web, then 4096 pixels by 4096 pixel. To have a quite simply a texture in 4 Kelvin, so I'm going to leave it in 8-bit and so on. I'm going to have it created, and there I'm going to open file. And I'm going to open the images that I used to create the texture. And so I open also the texture that we had created on Cinema4D. So here I'm going to go to my main file. I'm going to take my brush, which I press B. I'm going to take a red something like this for now. I'm going to come paint here in red, and I'm going to take the UV texture. I'm going to put it right here. So I'm going to come here to click, drag on the main texture. I'm going to put it in the center here with the 2 buttons. And there, in the blending modes, I'm going to highlight it harshly. I'm going to be able here added a slider in the middle of our scene where you go to display a new benchmark, and I put 4096 divided by 2. Okay, so here we have our slider in the center of the scene, and I'm going to put my UV stack in the middle here. So there it is perfectly in the middle. So then come and take my logo which fits, so I'm going to click and drag it here at the texture level. I'm going to do a T control so I can resize its size like that. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to put the logo here in the middle at that level. Then I'm going to take the main layer here, and I'm going to take the color. The same color as the logo which has, so here I go with my selected red, and here with my brush I come to take all of them in red to have the same color as the logo. So then I'm going to create a second layer with a slightly lighter red, so come and do Control C Control on this layer. And I'll take a red here. I'm going to lower the saturation a little bit. And I'm going to press B, and I'm going to come paint it like this. And so there, we will be able to come and create a mask to be able to add these 2 colors. I'm going to take a quarter mask, and so I'm going to take my little square right here, take a mask like this. I'm going to do a 45-degree rotation. I'm going to press V to take my transformation tool. I'm going to move this rectangle up. So roughly at that level. I'm going to put myself in the center at roughly the level of the logo, which is right here. I go, then OK. I'm going to take this rectangle with Control, and I'm going to put it here on this layer. And so there it is indeed. To delete the rectangle here, we have our mask which has been created. So I'm going to click drag at the texture level. I'm going to rotate here about -90 degrees. I'm going to resize them like this. I'm going to put them in the center here roughly of my label, and so thereafter, you can come and add text if you want. So I'm going to take my little text and I'm going to put raspberry flavor like this. I'm going to be able to put my text in red, and I'm going to be able to double click here to add a layer style. And I'm going to put outlines, and I'm going to put white outlines like this. I'm going to double click. I'm going to add a drop shadow. And then this text is going to be able to do a T control and rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to come and place it at about that level. So we have our texture created. You can add whatever you want. Just the most important element should be in the center, because that's going to be the top of our label. So once we've done that, we can come and delete our label here. So I'll do it as you see. If we can come and delete it, click, drag, I put them in the trash. Then make export file. Come here, save my texture in my folder, which I but rather a text. I'm going to have it recorded and then be able to return to 4D Cinema. And so there, I will go to the level of materials. I will create a new material. Created Redshift, then materials. I'm going to put this material on my cube, so on my bar. Quite simply, I'm going to do it. Click, drag. I'm going to get into this material to have the nodes, and then I'm going to be able to bring this texture to this level. So I'm going to go to the level where save the texture, and I'm going to take this texture. So I called it texture 2D, then I made it click, Drag at this level there, I say no. I don't need it in here, I'm going to put it on diffuse color. And so there, if we look at the UV level, so it did not put on correctly. All you have to do is change the position here, and we can put our render window back in the center here. It works well, and now we just have to launch our rendered window. So here I have my window, and until you click on play here, we can see that we have the raspberries here and everything that we added to the Photoshop texture. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share to support my work. I see you next time. Bye.